Okay, folks, so today I want to talk about something you may have seen online that, in my opinion, is just kind of a travesty involving director Darren Aronofsky. Yes, the news we're reacting to today comes at us from Culture Crave on Twitter. You see, I freaking crave culture, baby. I love it. I need it. And they report that Darren Aronofsky has a new AI animated series on this day, 1776. It tells a short narrative stories about the Revolutionary War, uses generative AI tools, including tech made by Google DeepMind, and somehow has SAG voice actors, and then they have a clip which we're going to look at in a minute. Right off the bat, this news is just really depressing. I feel like whenever a big filmmaker jumps onto the AI train in a way that, let's be honest, is just a cash grab for themselves, I think it's pretty lame. So let's break down this instance of, frankly, what I think is selling out, and just have a look at this silly little goofy story. So for a little bit of context, we have an article here from World of Real that says Darren Aronofsky's AI series 1776 draws severe backlash, quote, a complete betrayal of cinema. Couldn't have said it better myself. And they basically outline that this series is in partnership with Time magazine and is, quote, a multi-part animated web series from AI studio Primordial Soup. Now, just right off the bat, I hate even the term AI studio or AI production company. That's just bullshit, man. It's a program. It's not a company. It's an AI. It's a program, guys. Damn. And here we have Time magazine explaining that figures featured in the series are voiced by SAG-AFTRA actors, which to me feels like a pretty cheap way of trying to grift legitimacy out of this dumbass project. If we pay people a union rate to voice the voiceovers for this little animated web series, then I guess we can look past the fact that we basically cancel out all of these costuming roles, these set roles, directing, camera, sound operators, lighting people, all these jobs that have been just completely eliminated in what would otherwise exist in a series about this time period. Those jobs have all just been zapped away by the magic of AI, but we're supposed to praise them because they paid a few union represented actors. The series is licensed by Time Studios, which plans to roll out the episodes on Time's YouTube channel across 2026, and the first two installments came out on Thursday. Time Studios president Ben Bitonti, let me try again. Time Studios president Ben Bitonti described the project as a preview of what intentional, imaginative, artist-driven use of AI can be. I'm just gonna call bullshit on that. That's bullshit. See, they add here that it's meant to complement creative craft rather than replace it, while opening new possibilities for storytellers. And I think that just sucks, man. What is this PR spin bullshit? And then it goes into the backlash online, which I guess we're representing here in this video. Consider this a singular example of backlash online. I can vouch, and the article says so, that there has been a lot of pushback and criticism on social media about this web series. Because look, man, I just hate this. This is Time announcing it and saying that they've partnered with Primordial Soup to distribute on this day, 1776, and it's meant to look like this official, serious, artistic project. And while I'm making this video, you can see Time has recommended their AI agent to help me figure out what's going on. Bruh, this AI series sucks. Stop doing dumb stuff like this. Let's see what it says. This is the Time AI beta, by the way. I'm specifically designed to help you explore Time content. I can help you search for articles. Okay, please. It recognizes that I'm being a dick and it doesn't want to engage. Screw you, Time AI. But basically in this article, they lay out as though it's this new special series that's going to be airing on Time. They talk about how this year is the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence and all that. And it's just going to cover random days and say, well, 250 years ago, this is what happened today. It's okay. So it has me curious, what is this Primordial Soup production company that is partnering on this show? Primordial Soup is an AI studio founded by visionary filmmaker Darren Aronofsky, merging bold narrative, emotional depth, and experimental workflows. I mean, AI studio? That doesn't sound so bold, emotional. Maybe it's a little experimental, but not in a good way. The studio develops original stories and tools to tell them. Well, 1776 is not an original story. It's like in the history books, so it's an adaptation of history. Not to be nitpicky, but just saying. Primordial Soup continues to identify and collaborate with the world's leading AI artists, storytellers, providing them access to the latest advances in technology while helping them refine their craft and bring to life stories that were once unimaginable. Oh, how could we have possibly made a period drama about the founding of America? It's not like anyone's tried to do that on film before. Wow. It's just depressing, man, because this is not how you should be celebrating 250 years of a country. Oh, you made it 250 years and now you guys don't know how to like create art with handcrafted means anymore. You know, you just animate shit in a program by typing a few prompts. That's what creativity is now. Happy 250th birthday, guys. What particularly frustrates me about this AI studio Primordial Soup is that it seems like Darren Aronofsky essentially partnered with Google DeepMind, who is behind Google's AI software and everything else. And it looks to me like he basically just made this company and partnered with Google because there was money on the table. Google and ChatGPT and all these other AI invested companies, they have like a direct stake in making AI generated video content seem to the average consumer as more high-minded, more artistic, more capable than it really is. And they know that it's in their best interest to get artists on board who know how to actually present some kind of a visual story so that they can have their AI demonstrated and displayed to regular consumers in the most like impressive and professional kind of a way. And I think Darren Aronofsky kind of just threw away his creative integrity and saw that there was a bag on the table and said, I want the money, man. I don't care about any of that integrity bullshit. And that's how you have a film studio that is deeply invested with Google, an AI company, and that is essentially, in my opinion, kind of like an advertising arm for this AI company, right? This is not an original creative studio. They're not producing art that anyone working there can really be proud of. They're producing slop that's supposed to be kind of like a marketing campaign for a company and an industry that is probably going to be directly responsible for a large amount of creative jobs just going bye-bye. It seems to me like a bit of a desperate plea from Darren over there to maintain relevance and to keep his name in the headlines and the news. Because I just don't see a world, like if he was getting big offers from studios to make money and direct a movie that could go on to win an Oscar or get press buzz or whatever, I feel like he would take it, right? So this must have just been the biggest bag available to him. I don't know. Maybe no studios were interested in him anymore. It says here he did a recent big budget movie, Caught Stealing, and he made The Whale, which won an Oscar for Brendan Fraser. So, bro, you didn't need to do this. You could have maintained your reputation, your integrity. I guess then you wouldn't be as rich. So, idiot me not considering the money. We've taken the piss, we've broken it down, and I think at this point there is nothing left but to watch the garbage that is being shoveled our way. Another fun little tidbit is that AI generated art cannot legally be copyrighted, and so this video can be played by anyone for any means. They have no ability to copyright this. They couldn't even copyright this content if they wanted to, because there is no legal framework to do so. Although I'm sure they're working on it, because I guess if they could claim all of the criticisms like this, they probably would. Let's dive into Time Studios' Primordial Soup's 1776, January 1, The Flag. Let's see what they got.
My lords and gentlemen, the rebellious war, begun in the province of Massachusetts Bay, is become more general.
So, the first thing that sticks out to me is that clearly they wanted to try and generate audio dialogue, and it just sounded fucking awful. Like, the lip syncing is already a little bit how you going. I wonder if maybe they animated some of that manually, but they definitely had to hire voice actors, because without getting people to like actually deliver these scenes, this would be just flaming dog shit. Right now, it's just like mediocre dog shit, but if this was also paired with like AI voice generation, it would be horrible. So I think the SAG actor hiring thing is just like a save face, but that's my opinion.
Of Massachusetts Bay is become more general and is manifestly carried on for the purpose of establishing an independent empire.
Okay, so this is supposed to be King George. Now, the thing with historical figures, you never really know exactly what they look like, but I think we had a pretty good idea of what King George looks like. This guy doesn't have the sauce. I'd prefer the fake Hamilton King George than whatever the hell this is. King of Great Britain and Ireland. Okay, thank you for the distinction there.
It has now become the part of wisdom to put a speedy end to these disorders by the most decisive exertions. For this purpose, I have increased my naval establishment and greatly augmented my land forces in order that a larger number of the established forces of this kingdom may be applied to the maintenance of its authority.
So one little test is like, can you tell me or summarize anything that he just said in the last 50 seconds? Tell me a word that he used, or give me shorthand what was the sentiment that he was just talking about for the last 50 seconds. Can you tell me what he was saying? Because I don't even know what he was saying. He's just saying big ass words that barely string together to kind of mean something. But the reason that you write productions and that you put together a script and you have actors deliver them is so that, you know, you're not wasting time on these pointless diatribes. You have speeches and monologues that are actually meaningful and memorable and maybe convey the story that you're trying to tell. So that's one thing. Clearly the writing is just... I wonder if the writing is AI, because that would be pretty interesting. But another thing that I'd like you to take note of, let's have a look, and we'll turn the sound off while we play this, but just count for me how many seconds goes between each cut. These cuts are so quick. The editing is just chop, chop, chop. And we know why, right? It's because AI has a limit as to how long of a continuous shot it can even generate. And so what we're left with is like splicing together the few tiny seconds of usable visual footage that is spit out by this fucking slop generator.
When the unhappy and deluded multitude, against whom this force will be directed, shall become sensible of their error, I shall be ready to receive the misled with tenderness and mercy, and to receive the submission of any province or colony which shall be disposed to return to its allegiance.
This is just poor writing because I barely understand like what even he's talking about. Sometimes in shows like Game of Thrones or other shows where they use like medieval speak or old-timey speak, good writing is when they can write those lines of dialogue and present it in the context of the scene in a way where you just totally understand what is being said. Even if you might not fully understand the words being said, you get the sentiment because a well-written scene with good directing, like proper staging and delivery, gives you the idea of what a person is trying to say. And look, props to, you know, whoever the SAG actor is that was able to voice this character, but the words you're reading are just such nothing, man. And then you have all these dramatic person reveals, and I guess AI, is kind of pretty good at generating images of historical figures, but I don't know. I actually don't mind when a movie does casting that doesn't look exactly like the historical figure they're portraying, because I think portraying someone is so much about the way that they carry themselves and the way that they act and how they speak. It's not only looks, right? So AI can maybe get the look of General William Howe historically accurate to what photos might have looked like, but no one is inhabiting the role. No one is giving us an idea of how did this person carry himself? How did this person speak? And what kind of affects did they have on a personal level? It's just so fucking sloppy and lame.
The mast from that British sloop Diana we captured. Has it been placed on Prospect Hill?
See, just then, it's easier when I turn the sound off. Look at how many shots they are cramming into like a 5-second period. That's way too many cuts. This editing sucks, man. So, and then you have weird moments like this where I don't know if this was Primordial Studios or whatever in the studio adding sound effects, but just listen to the succession of sound effects here and tell me it doesn't sound uncanny as hell.
Have them run this a bit.
You're doing too much with this, with all these extra sound effects. Like, I get they're going for ambience, but oof, that is just odd.
and gather the men.
So that's supposed to be like an Avengers Endgame moment? Like, what are we doing? George Washington? Okay, sure. Like, I didn't grow up in America. I didn't get taught the history of the founding of America. Is this impressive in any way? Like, okay, we're seeing the guy from the textbook animated to look real. Like, I don't know. It's not impressive to me. I think I remember George Washington had wooden teeth. That was the extent of my cultural education when it came to America, was George Washington had wooden teeth and Abraham Lincoln could never tell a lie. Those were the two bits of historical data that I picked up as a kid.
It is not in the case of history, perhaps, to furnish a case like ours. To maintain a post within musket shot of the enemy for 6 months, and at the same time to disband one army, and to recruit another. So let us raise that flag.
It just kind of sucks. And like, it doesn't hold up and stand up to what you can obviously imagine some kind of a HBO show about this time period, or like a period movie. And, you know, all these close-up shots, like there's clearly not really a continuity of directing. These kinds of shots where it's only focusing on animating like lips and a mouth, that's easier for the AI. It's not like a artistic choice per se. It's just, okay, if we do a shot like this where we don't have to generate like eyes and head hair or whatever, then that's like an easier shot to generate. I don't know, man.
But also something more, something greater. We are now the troops of the United Colonies of North America.
I guess this is supposed to be like an epic moment to end the first episode, and it's just lame. Oh, God, it's just... Hey! Okay. And now we have what I think is the real reason behind this series. Not Salesforce in particular, but just the general idea of advertising and sponsorships. Brought to you by Salesforce. I mean, what are we doing here, folks? Is this art or is this an advert? And don't get me wrong, you can have some artistic adverts, but this is disingenuous, right? This is not being upfront that it's an advert for AI. It's pretending to be art, and it's being brought to you by Salesforce. Like, what are we doing? In a way, something like this kind of is perfectly exemplary of America in 2026. And what I mean by that is, you know, America is so capitalist, and they're so like good at not just doing capitalism, but taking it to the furthest extreme, that the way in 2026 they commemorate their 250th anniversary is for a millionaire with an AI studio to tap a few buttons and generate a series commemorating 250 years where you don't actually cast any significant actors or well-known names to play any of the significant characters. The episodes are all, what, 3.5 minutes long? And the plot is incoherent to the point of being pretty much non-existent. But you do it because it saves money, and isn't that the American way? To cut corners, save money, and try to make a profit. It's kind of as American as apple pie, isn't it? So I just couldn't be bothered watching the second episode with you guys because I felt it would be too tedious. However, a little bit of a tease is that they have Benjamin Franklin in episode 2. You know, it does feel weird seeing him without the kite and the little key on the end of the kite, so that's another bit of American cultural education I got as a non-American. He should be getting electrocuted right now by his kite. But yeah, Benny Franklin is in it. King George gets another little appearance, looking very historically inaccurate. Take notes, Darren Aronofsky. This is how your King George should look. Thank you very much.
No one by birth should have the right to set up his own family in perpetual preference to all others.
Forever.
This just looks like a Jimmy Fallon sketch or something. It's like they're all gonna start a cappella singing together or something. Like, woof.
To all others.
Forever.
What do you think of it, General?
We have it in our power to begin the world over again.
Okay, so I think that's Thomas Jefferson, maybe? I don't know. I honestly don't care about the historical figures in this bullshit. But one other thing you notice in that scene was like the music, the strings. These AI productions, they never get an actual composer. They never get somebody to handcraft the music. It's all just beep, boop, 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 and then generated slop for you. To wrap this up, I want to say what's so particularly disappointing about this series and the fact that it's being presented by Time Magazine or Time Studios is the fact that Time is like an iconic piece of American art in a way, right? I know it's a magazine, but you look at some of the absolutely iconic covers they've produced, you know, they've covered, I think this was Saddam Hussein, Marilyn Monroe, they've covered Trump, they've covered Supreme Court justices, Julian Assange, Obama, George Floyd. There's our pal, George Washington. This is how George Washington feels after being portrayed by AI. Just, he's been punched in the face, basically. For something that's almost an American institution, Time Magazine, that has such a storied history and such an iconic lot of imagery that was handcrafted and either shot by a photographer or animated by some kind of a digital artist, it's a real shame. And I think it's a real betrayal of actually producing art. So big L's and thumbs down to Time Magazine, Time Studios, Darren Aronofsky, Primordial Soup, whatever the fuck that is. Okay, this is great. This is the last little tidbit. Primordial Soup is actually named after a scientific theory proposing that life originated about 4 billion years ago from a nutrient-rich, aqueous mixture of organic compounds on early Earth. So it's some wanky-ass reference to some scientific bullshit. Man, can you get any more pretentious? But there you have it. That is 1776, my breakdown, my criticism for Darren Aronofsky and Time, and hopefully you found that insightful or interesting or maybe even just entertaining. If you agreed with it and if you liked that video, go ahead, give me a like and subscribe. If you want to come back and see more, then feel free to do that. And if you didn't like it, well, then I'm always open to feedback. Let me know what I can do better in the comments below. That would be fantastic. Well, commenting would be fantastic. Maybe more positive comments would be better, but hey, if you want to say something negative, it's a free world, innit? You got free speech, so go ahead and use it how you like. Okay, that's all from me. Thanks for watching, guys. Cheers. See you next time. Bye.